Leo Moomaw was born on April 3, 1894, near Addy, Washington. As a teen, he contracted polio, and for a time he could not walk or talk. After he recovered, he spent his teen years catching and breaking wild horses. Leo's rodeo life started in 1915 when he, Hall Beimer, Dave Myers, and Dan Condon contracted bucking horses for a rodeo at Davenport, Washington. The horses were trailed 75 miles from Mons to Davenport for the sum of $75, which must have seemed to be a large sum of money to the cowboys who rode the range for $30 a month. In the fall of 1917, Leo and that same bunch of friends traveled by train to Pendleton, Oregon to compete in the roundup. Leo sent home a picture postcard of him riding North Powder. Part of the writing on the back said, "I saw a lot of good bucking here, but haven't got me in the dirt yet, Leo." There were treasured memories from the roundup in 1917. With a smile on his face, Leo would recall his horse being snubbed next to the great Jackson Sundown. Sundown was giving him words of encouragement, and when Leo rode his horse, Jackson Sundown was yelling, "Spur him, kid, spur him." Leo said he wouldn't have got the horse ridden if it had not been for the help of Jackson Sundown. From the early 1920s through the late 1940s, many of Leo's good horses were raised on the old ranch. The list of good bucking horses he owned and raised is long. Two of the great horses, Badger Mountain, acquired by trade, and Blue Blazes, raised on the ranch, are honored in the Pendleton Roundup Hall of Fame. Badger Mountain is also honored in the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. On the back of a 1927 photo, Leo had written, "Blue Blazes is 2 years old. He's standing by his mother." Blue Blazes started his career as a yearling. He bucked bareback with a bull rigging until he was 5 years old, and he was never ridden. About the third jump, he would pull a suckback. If he did not lose his rider, he would jump the opposite way and suck back again. His tricks were always successful. Maud bucked the same way. Maud was the mother of Blue Blazes. Blue Blazes matured into a great saddle bronc and bucked off many of the great saddle bronc riders of the day. He continued to perform well into his 30s. At the 1942 Pendleton Roundup, Ed McCarty and Verna Elliott, the owners of Midnight and 5 Minutes to Midnight, offered Leo $2,000 for Blue Blazes and Badger Mountain. To Leo, those good horses were worth more than money. He declined the generous offer that weekend, and that weekend Blue and Badger bucked off 3 or 4 of the world's best bronc riders. As the sole owner of his bucking string, Leo Moomaw produced and contracted rodeos from the early 1920s to 1933. During that time, he built a string containing some of the greatest bucking horses ever known. Leo considered Dynamite the best horse he ever owned, though Badger Mountain got all the press because of his spectacular bucking style. In 1933, Tim Bernard, a former Montana cattleman, offered to join Leo and expand his contracting business. Together they bought rodeo cattle and continued to add good horses to the Moomaw herd. Many good horses came out of Canada. Herman Linder provided Moomaw and Bernard with more than a few. 2 of the well-known were Which Way and Swift Current. In the fall of 1946, Moomaw and Bernard sold their rodeo stock and equipment to Ring Brothers. Part of the deal was that Leo would work at least one summer for the Ring Brothers as a flank man. Leo's life was bucking horses. He had an uncanny ability to recognize a potential bucking horse. From 1948 until 1954, Leo helped Joe Kelsey put together a good set of bucking horses. In 1954, Leo joined Joe Kelsey as a full partner, forming Kelsey Moomaw Rodeo Company. Together, they continued to build one of the best strings of bucking horses in the United States. Kelsey Moomaw featured horses were Devil's Dream and Snake. Buster Ivory said Devil's Dream was one of the rankest horses he ever saw. Ellie Lewis said he tried to ride her more than 25 times before he was successful. Leo would chuckle when he remembered the good bronc rider, rodeo clown, and bullfighter Felix Cooper saying about Snake, "He's the only horse I've ever been on that could look you in the eye and buck you off at the same time." Deb Copenhaver was the first to successfully ride Snake. In 1955, the Pendleton Roundup bronc riding winner was Leo's longtime friend Deb Copenhaver. Deb was also the world's champion saddle bronc rider in 1955 and 56. Deb stated that when his riding was in a slump, he would come to one of Leo's rodeos, get a good pep talk from Leo. Then after a successful ride on one of Leo's rank horses, he would be on a roll again. Leo Moomaw was active in the rodeo business for over 45 years. From his first bronc ride at the Pendleton Roundup in 1917, Leo Moomaw has been part of the Pendleton Roundup, and the Pendleton Roundup has been part of him. Starting with his first contract in 1915, Leo continued to compete and contract stock until his health forced his retirement from active rodeo in 1960. He continued to raise and trade bucking horses until his death. Leo Moomaw passed away in June 1969. Leo Moomaw could truly say, "Let her buck."